Hi, this is Dr. Dreyer, founder of the Wealth Creators University, where only results matter. And welcome to this Decoding the Mysteries of the Ancient Wealth Code. I'm going to share with you some of the hidden formulas that basically every successful investor and business owner applies either in their business or in their investment, or of course in both. The first question that I'd like to ask you: do you really want to learn the easiest, quickest, and safest strategy to become financially free? You see, your investment in your business is just the vehicle that we use, or that you're going to use, in order to become financially free. And there are literally only two ways. Either your business can take you to financial freedom, or else your investment will do so. Or both, depending on how you're going to structure it and how you're going to see it. Okay. So if the question is yes, then the second question that I'd like to ask you is, what does financial freedom mean to you? You see, to each and every person, it means different things at the end of the day. But if we break it down, we're going to find that a lot of people associate financial freedom with having a lot of money. And that is not necessarily the truth, because what we want in financial freedom is to be able to do the things that we want to do, when we want to do it, how we want to do it, and even with whom we want to do it. So we are actually looking for time, and then not having to worry about the money. In other words, we've got more than enough to be able to do those things that we really want to. Now, unfortunately, we're going to find that when we look at reality, that very few people are actually in a position to be financially free. So if we look at the reality in South Africa as an example, you're going to find that less than 1% of the total population at the age of 65 will be financially rich. 7% is going to be financially independent, and the rest will still be working, or, of course, they're going to be dependent on the government or family. Now, let's quickly define what do I mean with financially rich. You're financially independent the moment that your passive income, that is the income that you get from your pension fund or your provident fund, in other words, from interest, from dividends, from things like rentals, in other words, passive income. The moment that your passive income is equal to your active income, in other words, your standard of living or the income that you worked for the day that you decided to retire, you are financially independent, and this is the 7% that we are referring to on the slide. Simply means that you've got double the amount that you need in order to maintain your standard of living. And then you are financially rich the moment that that is 3 times. So we can see that here in South Africa, it's a little bit misleading to say that you're financially independent, because the definition that the financial institutions attach to financial independence means that if you can retire with 70% of your end salary indexed with inflation over your life expectancy, then according to them, you are financially independent. Now, let's break that down. As an example, if you're receiving 7,000 Rand per month, make it 10,000, and you get a pension of 7,000, that is 70% of the 10,000, you're going to find that according to this definition, or the way that they see you, that you are financially independent. And we know that that is not the truth, because you can't really live off that money. I mean, just to take a family overseas nowadays, depending on how you want to travel, is going to cost you anything, and how long, from, and how many places, from anything from 100,000 to, well, you decide. But the majority of people will never be in a position to be able to do that. Now, the question that I'd like to ask is, what is the number one reason why 99% will not retire rich? Because the conclusion that I've made is either you're rich or you're poor. And the main reason why I see people do not get financially ahead in their business or in their investments is because they are confoculated. And they are confoculated by a system to deliberately keep them poor. So let me define the definition, or how I see confoculate. It's a mental state of mind when you do not know that you don't know what you're supposed to know. So the moment that you're in a state of mind where you do not know that you don't know, then you're not going to look for answers. And this is exactly what the system wants you to be in, that state. of mind. So the moment that you're in that state, they can tell you whatever they want to. You're going to believe that whatever they're saying, you're not going to query, because in your mind, an alternative does not exist. So today what I'd like to do is to offer you an alternative. In fact, I think it's the only alternative that I know of. And if you know of any better way, then please contact me and please tell me, because I think we've got a responsibility to share this kind of information to the world out there. Okay, so there are two systems, and I've made this discovery at the age of, well, in 1987 when I was 30 years old, and because of the information and what I've learned and what I'm going to share with you on this webinar, I was in a financial free situation at the age of 37. Okay, so I really want you to pay attention, because I know that this will help you tremendously. Right, so in 1987 I discovered that there are two systems. The one is based on the physical, and I call that the Newtonian science and Newtonian laws, for a lack of better description to it. But it basically means it is man-made laws that governs the physical side. And this is a side that we know of, and this is a side that we believe in and are conditioned to believe. But there's a flaw in this side. The other system is based on the spiritual or the metaphysical, and this is based on the metaphysical laws or the natural laws or universal laws, and it is basically based on quantum physics. And quantum physics is the subatomic particles in terms of an atom. Okay, so immediately you can see that if there are two systems, then guess what? There must be two different strategies to operate, because it's literally two different set of laws that we need to have a look at and obey. And of course, by following the different strategies, we can only get one of two outcomes, two different outcomes. So let's look at these two different strategies. Now, my students will know that I'm referring to opportunity seekers as the global belief strategy or global belief system. So, but for this webinar, let's go with the global belief strategy. And this is the Newtonian, in other words, the man-made law strategies that we're going to follow. The flaw with this is that someone can control the system. In other words, let's take the tax situation in any country, anywhere in the world. There are man-made laws that regulates that and how much tax you're going to pay in estate tax, state duties, and VAT, and so forth. Right. So at the same time, you're going to find that the financial laws, for example, there's a law on companies. There's a law in terms of how to regulate and organize trust, as an example. And all of these are man-made. But there's another law, and that is the wealth creator strategy, where it's the metaphysical laws. These are the laws that we were born with. These are the natural laws. For example, there's a law of cause and effect, or a law of attraction, or the law of growth. Okay, and by following these laws, we can have whatever we desire. But the system there's no ways that they want us to know about this incredible strategy that we can follow, which is a wealth creator strategy. So let's look at the global belief strategy, and let me show you how it's possible for 99% of the population to follow a strategy knowing that it's not going to work, but yet continue in doing so, hoping that it's going to work. So how on earth can they get us to a state where we can see that the outcome, because it's a fact. If you know at stats, the majority of people, especially the financial planners and financial advisors, will tell you, well, it's a fact that only 1% will be rich and another 7% independent, and the rest will battle. How is it possible? You see, how do you get the masses to follow the global belief strategy? It's very simple. You hijack their mind. In other words, their belief system. And through propaganda and through the media, which is one of the systems that they are using, they literally indoctrinate you into believe what they want you to believe. So the way that they do it is, they create a global problem. There's no such problem. There's no such thing as poverty. There should not be, because inherently we are born to have a life of abundance. But because of this limited belief system that we adopted through our environment, through our parents, through society, we really think that, you know, and we know it's a fact. If you look around it, you will say, but listen, poverty is part of our lives, and very few people are rich. So the average person is actually quite poor. But that is exactly what they want us, because now they've created a problem. And the way that they do it is to confoculate us. So the moment that we are in a state of confoculation, we are not going to look for an alternative. Now, Einstein said that you cannot solve a problem out of the same consciousness that created the problem. And this is exactly what they are busy doing. In other words, they create the problem, they've got the solution to the problem, but that solution is structured in such a way to keep you away from being aware of the true you and the greatness that's within you, and to enslave you to their system. So during this webinar, what I plan to do, and I'm going to do, is to take you through 3 or 4 examples and actually show you what the majority of people believe in. And then I'm going to give you and offer you an alternative, so that you can see that that is not necessarily what you should believe. In other words, and by changing your belief system and by starting this process today, you're going to embark on a journey that is going to be totally different than what the majority of people are on at this very moment. So let's look at some of the evidence. There's a saying that I want you to get before we really go into it. They say it's easier to believe a lie that one has heard 1,000 times than to believe a fact that no one has heard before. So the first time that I started to make serious discoveries, well, it actually began in 1983, 82, but the biggest discovery that I've made happened in 1987, when I literally discovered that the lower the risk, the higher the growth. Now, this is directly opposite to what I've learned and believed at that stage, and that was that the higher the risk, the higher the growth. And I'm going to come to that and explain that to you a little bit later. But the moment that you apply metaphysical laws, the universal laws, you're going to find that the lower the risk, the higher the growth. And that is amazing. Or that you don't need money to make money. Now, if you tell someone that it's not part of their belief system, that you do not need any money to make money, they're going to literally laugh at you. And that is what happened in 1987, when I spoke to a group of insurance brokers, and I said to them, there are 2 laws. The one where you've got no chance, and we get degrees, because that was the year that I got my FOLPA degree, fellow of the Institute of Wealth Life Insurers, which is the same as a certified financial planner today. But when I said that to them, there are 2 different systems. They literally laughed at me. And the reason for that is because they've never heard the truth. So today, you may laugh because you're not going to see me. I'm not going to be in your face. But please pay attention, because your financial future is literally depending on what you're going to hear today. Okay, so I'm going to touch on the Republic of South Africa, retirement planning, high risk versus high return, and that you must have money to make money. There's a lot more in one of my other courses, Financial Breakthrough, which takes basically 2 days. I'm explaining at least 34 different ways of how we are confoculated by the system without knowing it. So I'm going to look at 4 confoculation stories quickly here. The first one that I want to address, and this only happened to me a couple of years ago, so this is not something that I knew for a very, very long time, although I suspected, but I never had proof of this. Let's tackle this thing of the Republic of South Africa. You're a citizen if you stay in South Africa or in America or wherever. You're a citizen. What does it mean if you're a citizen? In other words, what does that ID book mean? I always thought that I'm a citizen of this country, and that the country is the land that we're in and set by certain boundaries. You know, that was my belief for some strange, weird reason. But the truth is that the Republic of South Africa is registered as a corporation on the United States Security Exchange, right? And there's the proof, so you can Google it and find it for yourself. Now, what does it mean? I'm not sure that I know what it means, but if I look at a business, at a corporation, then in terms of a business, there has to be shareholders, and it's the shareholder that actually control the business as such. Although you do have CEOs and managing directors and managers, and to a certain extent they think they control it. But when things get to a certain point, the shareholder will call in and say, whoa, 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 I'm not happy with what you're doing. This is the way that you're going to do it from now onwards. So the shareholders are in control. Now, the question then is, but who the heck are the shareholders of the corporation of South Africa? Because certainly I thought that we were the shareholders, only to find out that that is not the truth. Okay, so the way that I see it is that they are using as human stock because of this state of confabulation that we're in. We think we are free. They tell us that we are free and that we can do certain things, but when we look at it, we see that we are not free. We are used and trade as futures in terms of the taxes and the debt and the interest that's to be paid and the way that they want to manipulate us. Now, we can take it one step further. You know, here in South Africa, when a baby is born and registered, then that baby, on that day, the government basically puts a 46,000 Rand loan on that baby. In other words, he starts off by owing the country, the government of South Africa, the corporation, 46,000 Rand. Now, that's nothing compared to America, because November last year when I did this study again, in America at that stage it was 496,000 rands. I took the currency rate at that point in time. So today it will be more than 500,000 Rand. Plus then interest is occurred on that amount. So by the time that baby is 18, 19 years of age, you can just imagine how much money he or she owes to this corporation already. And the way that they're going to get us is through taxes, debt, and interest at the end of the day. Okay, so that to me was immense. Now, let me give you an example. 5 years ago, there were 7 countries that were not part of this global elite system. In other words, that were controlled by them. At the moment, there's only 2 countries, and that is North Korea and Cuba. Okay, now let's step to another thing. In 1984, I did a retirement planning through Old Mutual, a life insurance company in South Africa, and I actually volunteered to go and do that course. And I wanted to do it because in my mind, when you do your retirement planning or financial planning, then you're going to be in a position where you can retire and you sit back and you buy that boat for you and you cruise the world and everything is honky-dory, okay. But in 1984, I made an amazing discovery, and I'm going to share that with you today, hoping that it's going to help you and benefit you the same way that it has benefited me way back in 1984. Today, I can come and tell you that retirement planning is the biggest financial invention ever that was engineered specifically by the global elite to keep you enslaved to the global belief system for the rest of your life. Now, you're going to say, honestly, yeah, but now you're getting like a bit weird. But see if you can get this. You know, there's what I call a retirement catch. It's a contract. So let me show you how this really works. So let's say that I've got a salary and income. And in today's value, just to make it easy, let's say it's 10,000 Rand. Then you're going to find that each and every person has got what we call a standard of living. In other words, to pay the rent and to pay the cars and the bills and the clothing and the food that we eat and the entertainment, blah, 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 and our taxes and so forth. Your standard of living, let's assume that that is 80%. In other words, you need at least 8,000 Rand per month just to survive and to maintain your standard of living. That simply means that you've got 2,000 Rand left, and that 2,000 Rand is supposed for you to give you the standard of living that you need, or you can use it in terms of planning for the future so that one day that money must work for you so that you do not have to work. So they take this as the truth. And by the way, that is part of the truth, because now I've got 2,000 Rand that I can put aside out of the 10,000 Rand in order to make provision for retirement. So through this contract, they then tell you that, listen, buddies, I'm going to give you a real return on your investment. So immediately they're busy with the confocculation process, because a real return means there must be inflation, and inflation is man-made. And there must be a real return. In other words, they must give you a return, and that is man-made and man-controlled by these different laws and the financial elite. Right. So when what they can give you is more than what the inflation is going to eat up, you're going to grow, and for that reason, trust the experts. And then they give degrees to people that is prepared to study and adhere to their laws, so that they then can help other people. Now, here's the problem, and this is what I want you to understand. If that is the case, and you've got 1,000 Rand or 500 Rand surplus, and you invest in that, then of course you should be able in 20 years or 30 years to be able to retire. But when you look at reality, remember I showed that slide right in the beginning, 1%, just 1% is going to be financially rich. That simply means the rest are not rich. So obviously somewhere this system does not work. And remember I said also that if you confocculate, you're not going to look at alternatives. And if you look at alternatives, you're going to look at the same solution in a different package. In other words, if you start hop, skipping, jump between Old Mutual and Sanlam and Liberty and the banks, you're still exactly the same system, and they don't care where you are looking for the solution, as long as you use one of these vehicles that they've set up there for you. Okay, so remember that 1%. So by retirement, we're going to find that the real problem is going to move well, and then we're going to be in a position where there's no ways that we can retire. So I really hope that you see it, but let's look at the mechanics behind it, because I think that is fascinating. So let's look at an example, and I'm going to use an Excel example so that we can set it up so that you can follow, that you can see what I mean with this. And this is really serious, because the moment that you're going to get this, your life is going to be totally different. Right, so let's assume that you've got 20 years to retirement. So hypothetically, you're 40 years of age, you've got a salary or an income of 10,000 Rand. Again, hypothetically, I just want to use these figures because it's easy to explain. I'm going to retire at 60. That means I've got 20 years before retirement. And then on retirement, I'm going to do my planning till I'm 80. That simply means that I've got 20 years to be on retirement. So my life expectancy after retirement, 20 years. And the question then is, if there's no inflation, because by now we know inflation is there to confocculate you, and there's no interest or growth that you can get on your money, because that is also there to confocculate you, how much capital do you need at 60, if I'm 60 years of age today, so that I can take 10,000 Rand per month out of that pool of money, and that will see me through for the next 20 years. I must take 20 years, for each and every month, 10,000, which is the equivalent of 2.4 million Rand. Now, the problem is, I am 40. I've got nothing except an income that will not be indexed with inflation, because there's no inflation. So my 10,000 is going to stay 10,000 for the rest of my life. And it's important that you understand this principle, because this is where the confocculation comes in. So how much of that 10,000 that I'm going to earn over the next 20 years per month do I need to put into this fund so that I can get to 2.4 million so that I can live off it? I think you've got it. That is everything. The question here is it possible? And the answer, it is not possible, because I've just said to you that if you earn 10,000, then you've got a standard of living. Some people may live off 40% of that, and others may live off 90% or even more of that. So a person that lives off 80% of that simply has got 2,000 Rand left. So that person has got no chance whatsoever to become financially free. So I went back to Mutual after I did the course, and I said to them, I don't get this. Although I've got the certificate, and although I passed the way that you explained to me and told me to do retirement planning, in other words, I regurgitated your information, I'm not getting it because I can see that with my clients, they can't make it. And I've tried this in the way that I'm explaining it now for myself, only to find out that obviously there's something that I'm missing. So they said to me, no, but the reason is because there's inflation and because there's a growth on your investment after taxation. We call it the real return of 3%. You're going to get ahead in life by simply trusting us and giving us your money. I said, but I haven't got more than, let's say, assume 2,000 Rand. They said, no, but you have to find a way to do it because otherwise you won't be able. Now, here's the reason, the real reason. If I'm 60 years of age, it looks like I need to give them a lot less. In fact, I need to give them a lot less, 600,000 Rand, to foresee and to make provision for 10,000 Rand in today's value, indexed with a 9% inflation rate over my life expectancy. In other words, next year it will be 10,000 plus 9%. In the year after that, the 10 plus 9 plus 9 again, and so forth, till the age of 80. And for that reason, I need to give them a lot less. But here's the problem. When does the inflation start? Now or when I'm 60? If I'm 40 now, it starts now. So by the time that I get to 60, how much money do I need per month, indexed with a 9% inflation, that is the equivalent of 10,000 now? I need only 56,000 Rand. But the problem is that the inflation is not going to retire either. So it's going to keep up. So how much money must I give them at that stage? I must give them 10 million Rand, 10,105,000 Rand. Okay. Luckily, I've got 20 years to make provision and I can get 12%. In other words, more growth on my money than what the inflation is going to eat up. So in equal installments, out of the 10,000 that I start with today, how much of that must I invest so that I can get to 10 million? All that I need to invest is to invest 10,215 Rand. And I really hope that you see the problem here. In other words, we try to do something because everyone else is doing it through pension fund, provident fund, retirement annuities, deferred compensation, unit trust shares, property trust, and stuff like that. We all try to do exactly the same thing that does not work. And by doing that, they keep the power from us and disempower us and enslave us so that we will stay within the system and keep on giving our life away to them without knowing it. When I was 27 years of age, that was in 1984, right, I thought by myself, there's no ways that I'm going to take 20 years to retire. I literally wanted to retire earlier. So if we want to retire in 10 years, and hopefully if you want to become a wealth creator, then at least 10 years. 10 years is actually a very long time to be in a financial position, to be financially free. Then you need to put into this fund, according to their system or their way, approximately 18,000 Rand per month. Now, a lot of people are going to say, yeah, Hannes, but I can get more than 12%, and but what they don't tell you, 99% of the time, they've got one fund that is going to give them like 25%. But the rest of the funds, because they believe in this diversification, will be in other funds. And if you look at the average person will not, over the last 20 years, on average, got a 12% return on the investment. So this is actually in a better situation than what the truth is. So I really, really want you to get this and understand the impact of this and how they take the money out of your pocket without you knowing it, just to keep you poor for the rest of your life. Okay. What about this one? You must have money to make money. Do you think that is the truth? You see, this is something that they want us to believe because it's going to suit them. But when we look at reality, we're going to find that the 4 richest people in the world, in fact, you can go and do a search, a Google search on Fortune 500 richest people on the world. And by the way, these are not really the richest people. These are share rich people. If you are rich in terms of property and that property is not listed on the share market, then there's no ways that they will pick that up or that they can allocate a certain amount to you to determine how rich you are. So again, these are not the 4 richest people in the world by far, but according to what they want us to believe. But let's look at them, because I think it's important. If we look at them, we're going to find that they are all self-made. I know for a fact that Warren Buffett started with $100 when he started his first partnership. And then he winded that up, took the profits that he made out of that, and bought a major shareholding in Berkshire Hathaway. And today, I think he's between the first 4 richest people on the planet. Anton Rupert here in South Africa is a classical example of someone else that we can look at. And Anton Rupert started his empire, or his family is dead. He's dead now, but his family's empire with £100. That's the equivalent those days of 50 Rand. That was his total capital outlay that he started the business. So what I'm trying to tell you is that it's not you must have money to make money, it's you must have the competency to make money. Because the moment that you've got the competency, then it becomes very easy. And that competency means that you have to apply a different law to the way that you're going to look at money and investments. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Right. Now, let's look at Old Mutual. If you go to their website, and there's their website that I got this from. This is an image, a print that I've made from their website. It says that our story, John Furbain, started the mutual life insurance company in Cape Town with no capital. With no money, people. Capital equals money. With no capital, with no money. He did not borrow money from someone else. He did not borrow it from a bank. He did not use any security. He started the biggest insurance company, I think, at the moment in South Africa with no money. And I don't think it's only the biggest insurance company. I think it's the biggest company in South Africa. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that is the case. Okay, so please don't fall for this belief system, because the moment that you believe that, you're going to put yourself in a position where you think, I must have money to make money, and immediately take you out of the race. And when you've got the money, you're going to think, because I've got the money, I can make more money, and fall into the next trap. Okay, and that is, the higher the risk, the higher the growth, because the more money you've got and you invest in something and it's not working, the more capital you can lose. And according to Warren Buffett, the ability or the potential or the probability to lose capital, that is the only risk, financial risk, that we can take. Okay, so is this the truth, that the higher the risk, the higher the growth? No, again, I don't think so, because if you've got the competency, then suddenly you're going to eliminate a lot of risk in the process. Let me give you 1 or 2 examples. I retired, I think I've said before, at the age of 37. In 2002, I started teaching people about investing in property and starting businesses in 2004. But in 2004, one of my students actually challenged me, and he said to me, this stories that I'm teaching is a lot of nonsense. So how do you prove something? You know, it's easy for me to say, this is what I've done. But how can you prove something? So in 2004, in November, I took on a challenge to invest 79 cents and to grow that 79 cents into a 10 million in a separate financial entity, so that auditors could do an audit check on that and verify if what I say and what I do is actually what I teach. Okay, so I started my investment, the total investment, with 79 cents, and 2 years and 3 months later, the auditors gave me a clear bill on a 10 million. That was what that investment was worth at that stage. But in 2005, in the beginning, one of the things that I undertook as part of that challenge was to develop this specific property that you're looking at, the photo here, without going to the bank and without costing me a cent, in terms of, except for the 79 cents that I've invested. And this is the impact. And most people, when they look at this, they can't get their minds around it. But you can't look from a physical point of view, because then you won't see it. You have to look from a spiritual and a metaphysical point of view, and then you're going to see it. Because we, through the law of creation, has got the ability to take an idea, a concept, and convert that into money. And the moment that you've got that, then the law of multiplication starts kicking in. And the moment that you understand that law and you start to apply it in a very specific sequence, you're going to find that you start making 1 rand. That 1 rand you turn into 100 rand, the 100 rand into 1,000, the 1,000 into millions. That's literally what happened here. And 40 weeks from when I started this project, without going to the bank, without registering a mortgage or a loan or a bond on it, without credit loan accounts, with nothing, this property was in that investment instrument that I had, the company. Okay, let me give you another example. You know, people say you must have money to make money. I don't believe it. I say you must have the competency, and you can learn the competencies on the different levels. Last year in Christmas, by the way, that's the YouTube video, or you can go to my YouTube channel and then simply search for this video. My mother-in-law, she was 82 at that point in time. She gave me 100 Rand for Christmas, and she said to me, "Honest, I can't give you a million. Yes, 100 Rand. Go and make your own million, and then use it and do it with it whatever you want to." So I took up that challenge because I think it was a great challenge, and I absolutely love my mother-in-law. So 3 months later, we made this video. I made the first video literally 2 or 3 days after she gave me the money, and my profit at that stage was 400, or the growth was 437,184 Rand growth that I had on my investment. And it sounds incredible, and I think it is incredible because it's a growth on your investment that's going to make you rich, right? But a lot of people will say, but that's not a lot of money. Well, if you take 100 Rand and you turn that into 437,184 Rand, not a lot of people know how to do that, and no financial institution and no expert will give you this kind of growth ever. So immediately we can say that you see that you must be able to do it. Otherwise, you can't think that someone else is going to do that for you. Okay, now let's take it from there, from the 437, and take it a little bit further, 6 months further, in other words, 9 months later. 9 months from the day that I started, that, according to the money that were in the bank, were 1.7 million. That was what we turned around. Okay, 1,755,945% growth that we had in the money. Here's a truth that I want you to understand. You see, the trick is not you must have money to make money. The trick is the more money you've got, the more difficult it becomes to grow your money. So let me show you that. Just took a sip of coffee here. And let's continue. The growth from 437 to 1.7 million is only 302%. We've seen the growth from 100 Rand to 400 is 1,000, and the growth from 400 to 1.7 million we can see is only 302. So the more money you've got, it's simply because unless you've got the competency, you're not going to keep on getting this enormous growth on your investment or an infinite return on your investment. By the way, there is a way, both in property as well as through your business, that you can get an infinite growth on your initial investment forever. In other words, there's a way, but the trick is you have to start it the right way. If you do it that way, you do not need a cent ever to build empire, or you need very little, like Anton Rupert, 100 Rand, or Warren Buffett, $100, or like myself, where you don't need any money actually to start this whole process. I hope that you're getting this. Let's look at the next one. Let's, trust the experts. They've got the degrees. They know how to do it. So let's ask just one question. These experts, how do they make their money? Do they make it by running and growing their investments, or do they make it by, and I'm talking about the people that is giving you advice, by selling you something and gaining the commission? In other words, it's got nothing to do, you don't need to be a great business owner to make a lot of money. All you need to do is to be a great salesman. And then you can make a lot of money, and people will think that you're rich, but your money is not really working, because you yourself cannot get that kind of growth by investing your money in the same instruments that you advise your clients to invest in. I really hope that you understand this. So next time that someone comes to you and they tell you that this is a great investment, simply ask them, okay, show me how much money you've invested and what was the growth. Not how much money, because if I'm earning R1,000,000 per month and I do it for 12 months, I'm going to have 12 months. So if someone asks me, I'm going to say I've got 12 million in the investment. But what was the growth on my investment over that period of time? Because it's a growth on your investment that is going to make you rich. And that's the question that you should ask. And then you're going to find that, well, they don't get it. Now, this whole webinar came about because of, in the beginning of this year, a person wrote something on my blog, and you can go and have a look and find it. And he said that, I think you need to understand that there are highly intelligent people in the audience. Apparently I offended him or something, because it was just after one of these seminars that I had. And I agree 100% with him. I know that there are highly intelligent people, and I respect those people, you know, and I've seen them at school. You can just see that these people are really clever, and they don't need to learn, and they get good grades and stuff like that, and they've got IQs of 140 and 170 plus, you know. But here's the trick. I am not impressed by your or by anyone's IQ. What I'm impressed with is the fact that, can you start a business with no money, yes or no? And can you get 100,000% plus growth on your initial investment? And can you literally get yourself in a position where within a 2 to 5 year maximum, you are financially free, independent, and rich? If you can't do that, then that intelligence that you've got means absolutely bugger all. Right, and I really want you to get this, and I know that this is not what you want to hear, some of you, because you had this idea and concept that, but the reality, my friend, is that you're going to suffer like people with no intelligence when you retire. And that I do not want for you, or for the person that has got no intelligence, according to you. Because it's normally only people that think or that knows that they've got a high intelligence that will tell other people, but you're not intelligent. So for not 1 second do I think that you're not intelligent, or anyone is not intelligent. But what I'm saying is that, can you deliver? In other words, can you get the results, yes or no? And then he went about and say that you should also advise your database basically to invest in stocks, and the advice that you're giving is not right, and so forth. In fact, he said that if you invested in the JSE in an average blue chip portfolio, you would have made a killing from 2000 to 2014. And then he went on to say that he invested 100,000 in 2000, and that investment is now in 2014 worth 1.3 million. Now, this is his belief system, and because of that, he has made a killing, because that is the truth, because that is what he believes. But here's the thing. Do you think that he'll ever become rich by investing 100,000 Rand over a 14-year term? If you take the inflation in consideration, it's less than 500,000. In fact, it's less than 400,000 Rand in today's value. So there's no ways that you can become rich by gaining and getting a 20.11% return. And that is not what I teach, and that is not what I want to teach. My passion is to teach people how to become wealth creators. And a wealth creator knows how to create, preserve, and enjoy wealth. In other words, have life of abundance. And the only way to do that is to get a multiplication through the law of multiplication and the law of creation. Get 100, 200, 500, 1,000, 100,000, 1,000,000% growth on your investment, especially in the beginning, and especially when you are learning the trades and the secrets of the trade. And that is what I'm teaching. So if you are happy with the 20%, then I am not the right person to give you any training. Go and find yourself a broker or a financial advisor or some guru that, according to the system, can give you a 25% or even a 30% growth on a constant basis. That is not my intent. My intent is to show you and to help you and to guide you by giving you these metaphysical laws in a definite way, a specific way, so that you can literally become as rich as you want to. That's depending on how you see rich and how much money you really want. Okay, to me, I want to have a life of abundance, and that is what I had since well, for the last 18 years now. So the challenge, I immediately convert that let's call it negativity, that were on my blog, I immediately converted that, and I said, okay, I'm going to take this as a challenge. And I'm going to invest 100,000 Rand and turn it into 1.3 million in a year. And then I thought, no, that's too long. So let's divide the 100,000, because that's too much money. Let's take, because people always come back and say, yeah, but you must have money to make money. So it's a lump sum. Let's make it 50,000. And then I came back and I said, no, let's make it 25,000. And I took on a challenge, and this is part of this challenge. But I'm also using this challenge as a learning experience, because I can, and I will be able to prove that. And because of that, people can come and say, whoa, but if Hannes, with no intelligence, he took 2 years to just pass his matric. So we know for a fact that he hasn't got, and he can't speak English, he can't speak Afrikaans, his grammar is up to dinges, he can't actually calculate and do stuff. But if he can do it, then surely I can do it as well. But what is his strategy that he's using? And that is what I want to bring to you. Hopefully that you will adopt that, and that you will make that part of you, and that you'll become a wealth creator yourself. So the challenge that I took on was, the total investment were 16,726 Rand and 66 cents that I've invested, and it's going to be, I'm going to monitor that. I've set up out of that 16,000 Rand, a separate investment business or investment company, so that I can bring in auditors, and so that the auditors can verify that I could get and am getting that growth on my investment by simply following the wealth creator strategy and the formula for riches that are 100% based on the metaphysical laws. And it's like a summary of these laws. Okay, so the question is that I've proposed during the seminars is, who wants to know the step-by-step process that I'm going to use, or that I'm using at the moment, to get at least a 7,772% growth on my investment by turning less than 70,000 Rand, 17,000 into more than 1.3 in less than a year. And I'm also looking for 100 people to do that, because, if I can get 7,000% growth, people will say, Hannes, yeah, but you can get it. But the average person cannot get it. So I'm looking for 100 very, very dedicated people this year, at least, to help to get to 7,000% as well, on condition that they meet certain criteria, because I'm definitely not going to give this just to each and every person, and I'm definitely not going to give it for free. And the reason why I'm not going to do it is because I know that the moment that someone gets something for free and there's no sacrifice, that they're not going to do it. In fact, a couple of years ago, I did try to do something like that, and of all the students that I gave free access to one of my most valuable courses, not a single one of them had success, simply because they got the course for free. And I decided at that stage that I will never, ever do that again, because I can help people that wants to be helped, but I can't help people that wants or feel entitled to anything in life. Right, so let's look at this investment code. And I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this slide to quickly run through some of the metaphysical laws. This, my students will know this as the outline for the formula for riches. Okay, so that's an abbreviated form of the formula for riches. But let me show you the symbols and what the symbolic about these symbols are. The first symbol is the symbol for intent. Okay, so when we look at intent, there's a law of intent. Now, there's 148 laws. There are 7 major laws. This is actually part of the third law, right? And that is the law of intent. But in the law of intent, you're going to find that there are sub-laws, metaphysical universal sub-laws. The first one is the law of vibration or frequency. And the second one is the law of resonance. And then there's the law of awareness. So in terms of the law of awareness, in terms of the intent, and in some of my other courses or during the half-day seminar that I present, I explain this so that you can get a full understanding. This is literally a shortcut way for you to just get an overview of what this decoding the wealth code, what it is. Okay, so I need to know who I am, I need to know where I am, and I need to know where I want to be. In terms of that awareness, where you are, you can only be on one of 7 levels financially, as well as in terms of your business. And that is going to depend on your competency. So we see that the law of awareness is very, very important if you want to get ahead in life. Because once I know where I am and I know where I want to be in the future, by the way, Einstein called this the most powerful law in the universe, and that is the law of imagination. It's just one of the laws, and that is part of the law of intent. So that law of imagination, or the law of clarity, needs to be in place for you to know where you are, where you want to be, and what exactly is it that you need to do, as well as what are the sacrifices that will be involved in getting to where you want to be. Otherwise, the law of intent will work against you. So all these metaphysical laws can either work for you or against you, but they always work. And the only reason why they work, and for or against you, is because of this thing that we call the belief system. In other words, this equal sign represents the law of belief. Right? Whatever you believe, that is what you're going to, on the next law, what you're going to focus on, the law of focus. Okay, so if you believe that you must have money to make money, you will find ways to prove to yourself that you need money to make money by focusing on taking and getting and attracting things in your life that will prove that you need to have money to make money. On the other hand, if you really believe that you don't need money to make money, that you need the competencies, and you believe that you've got the competencies because you can prove that, right? Then you're going to focus on doing those things and starting businesses and investments with no money. Right? So, under the law of focus, there are actually, in this, I'm going to explain this Arabic part here, is there are different laws, sub-laws. And the 5 sub-laws that I quickly want to tell you about, because a lot of my students will know it under different terminology, but now at least they will know where the metaphysical laws come into play. The first one is the law of creation. Okay, so the law of creation is the same as you must have a surplus to start off this process. The law of creation literally says that each and every person has got the ability to take an idea, a concept, and convert that into reality, into money, into a particle. Now, there's a sub-law called the law of multiplication. Once I've got the money, once I've produced that money out of nothing, out of thin air, then by applying the law of multiplication, I can take one money, because the money can be in any denomination, like in pounds or euro or dollars or rands, and take one money and convert that literally into 10. Take the 10, convert it into 100, take the 100, convert it into a million at the end of the day, over a very short time period. Simply because once you understand that, you'll see how simple it actually is. The next law that is important is the law of action. And the law of action means that unless you're going to take action, and you will not take action by focusing on the stuff that you need to focus on, unless you've got the right belief systems. Okay, so that becomes very important. The next law is the law of leverage. But this is where you build your competencies. And the way that you leverage yourself and your finances and your time and your actions is by lowering the risk. And by lowering the risk, you're going to get an exponential and a higher growth on that. So the next law then, that is the law of responsibility. That is where you measure things, where you see where the law of cause and effect comes into play. That's the sub-law of that. And to see where things are going wrong, to determine and identify dysfunctional problems and stuff like that. And then, of course, the last part of these laws are the law of growth. And the law of growth is completely different to the law of multiplication and the law of creation, because the law of growth, that you seed, the seed that you plant, that is what is going to grow. So if you plant negative seeds, you're going to grow negative thoughts. Exactly the same. If you plant the right seeds, you're going to get the right crop at the end of the day. There's something else that I quickly want to explain before I'm going to move from this slide. And that is the law of attraction is actually next to this. So the way that you get to the law of attraction is you must have the law of intent in the right way, plus the law of belief, plus the law of focus. And when all three, with the law of focus, there's 5 sub-laws in place, only then will the law of attraction comes into play in terms of getting what you want. Because what a lot of people do not understand is that the law of attraction always works, right? Because the rest of the laws are working. And a lot of people attract a lot of negative stuff, of poverty as an example. It's because they apply the law of intent, the law of belief, and the law of focus to give them poverty. And therefore the law of attraction always works. But if you want to better your life and attract more money, then you have to do it in this sequence before the law of attraction is going to come in. And once the law of attraction comes in, there's another law that we call the law of abundance. And then that law will be applicable in terms of the abundance that you want. That is what you're going to get at the end of the day. Right. So a wealth creator, remember, is a person that knows how to create, preserve, and enjoy a life of abundance. And it's this abundance part that we are interested in. But to get to the abundance, the rest should be in place. Right, so now I need a sip of coffee, and I hope that you've got a cup of coffee with you so that you can do that too, because we're going to go into the end of this presentation. So the insight that I got in 1987 was that there were 2 laws. The one is spiritual, and the other one is the universal or the physical laws. And therefore there are 2 systems. The one is a physical system that is governed by physical man-made laws, and I refer to that as Newtonian laws. And then there's other one that works on universal laws, and I refer to that as metaphysical laws. And by applying the metaphysical laws, in other words, these formulas that I've just showed you, and I converted, by the way, I've used this a couple of years ago as part of my PhD thesis, where I showed people in the financial sense how to apply this formula, the formula for wealth creation, to develop entrepreneurs and investors. Okay, so although I've explained it to you on the metaphysical, it's as applicable on the physical side as the metaphysical, as on the spiritual side. Right, so the solution, what I want to offer you today is that I'd like you to start the process by investing in yourself. That's the best investment that you will ever make, and invest specifically by gaining the competencies at each and every level of your investment. There are 7 levels, and in terms of your business, there are 7 business levels as well. Because the moment that you've got that competency, no one can take it away, and you will literally be able to start business upon business. I've started like 50 businesses over the last 12 years with no money, or investments with no money, and get exceptional returns on my investment. The one that I am talking about and that I've referred to, you know, where I took the 16,000 and turned it into, well, at the moment it's 102,000 Rand. It's a little bit more, but that was the last statements basically that I had, was called the role in strategy. Now, please be careful. This is just one of the techniques that we are using. It's a level 2 technique, and in fact, there's approximately 180, 186 different strategies or techniques that I've used, not strategies, techniques that I've used in the past in 12 different industries to grow my money. And all of that happens literally at the level 2. Okay, and there are 7 levels. So what I'm going to show you and share with you is not typical unless you're a wealth creator. And if you're a wealth creator and you've gone through the training and you understand the principles, then of course you're going to get a lot more growth on your investment than the 500% that I'm currently got over the last just over 40 days in terms of this investment. So people ask me, but what specifically have you done? And yes, my answer, it does not care, because I can apply the same strategy, the role in strategy, in all 12 industries or in different industries. Right. Now, the moment that I tell you what I've done, and I'm going to tell you what I've done, you're going to say, yeah, but I can't do it, and immediately take you out of the race. And you are right to a certain extent. You can't do it if you do not have the competency, because a lot of people are trying it, especially in business, and it's not working. So what I did was I used that money, first of all, to set up a new entity, a new financial structure, as well as a financial part to that. And secondly, I've used that to buy media In other words, we call it advertisement. That's an easy way to do it, to promote a specific investment or concept that I've got. And this is what I've been doing now for the last 12 years with different industries to grow that business. But you can only do that at the level 2. So at the level 1 is where you find a way to create money out of nothing, and then you start with the 186 different ways in terms of how to grow that money. And there are 7 what we call profit drivers, and each and every profit driver uses a different technique or techniques or a combination of techniques to excel. So you can literally apply this on the internet, on online or offline, because people are asking, but is it offline? By the way, this was an offline investment that I started. It was not done through the internet as such, although I do use the internet nowadays for this investment purposes as well. You can use it for investment, for a business, for property. I've used it for services or products. I'm not going to go, let me go to the Excel. Initially, when I took on this challenge, all of this growth, the roll-in. So I said that each and every month I'm going to do a roll-in. And the roll-in is I'm taking 16,000 and then I turn it into a lot more. And then I take the surplus that I've got and I turn that into a lot more. So you can see there are 12. And initially I wanted 1.3 because that was a goal, to invest the less than 25,000, get to 1.3 million. But luckily for me, and because, well, I can't say it's luck because I've got the competency, with the first roll-in that literally took less than 3 weeks, I made a growth of 174%. So at the end of that period, I had 45,882 Rand. And here I'm going to give you a trick. So please pay attention to this. I structure this. So that's a level 4 technique that I'm sharing with you now. But actually, on the auditing side of this new investment company, you're going to see that the investment, the cost of the investment was something like 34 Rand and I think 83 cents. And what I did was I took this from an existing entity, in other words, existing investment that I've got, because it was a surplus. I then use that surplus and I roll it in, instead of in the same business that I normally do, I set up a new business and I borrowed that money literally from this company, but I already had the money, okay? And with interest at prime. So I've literally, at the end of the first roll in, I took 16,761 Rand and 43 cents. So you can see 61.43 versus 26 and 60. And the difference between the two, I literally paid back to the company that I borrowed the money from. You could also use this from the bank, but I've said that I'm using the roll-in, so I've already got the money. I'm not going to go to the bank. And by doing that, the moment that I've done that, I still had 29,000 Rand seed capital left, plus I had no more risk as from that moment onwards. And then I plan to get a 50% growth each and every month to get to 1.3. There will be 3.7. I'm going to take the 1.3, and those students that are with me on this program, I'm going to show them exactly what I'm going to do with that 1.3 million, and that's going to blow their mind away. But that will still leave me with 2.4 million Rand. Of course, I will have to pay taxes out of this, and the rest I will use as seed capital. So how do I minimize risk? This is a tip, even if you're in business or if you've got an investment, always start with a prototype. In other words, do not go into investment unless you know what it is, or into a business unless you know what it is and that it works. There are 7 steps, and again, during the seminars, I'm explaining the 7 steps so that people know how to start a business with no money. And then please test small. Do not put your life saving into something if you do not have the competency, or if you're not sure about that competency. And then accelerate the results, and this is exactly what I'm getting at the moment. So the total solution is apply and understand this wealth code and do it. This wealth code can be broken up in 2. The first part is the wealth creator strategy, and the second part, the formula for riches. Now, because of this, I was financially free at the age of 37. Every single goal that I've set, but it was more than a goal because I literally followed a roadmap. The first time that I draw that, the first part of the roadmap was actually in 1982. In 1984, a lot of things, again, that I explain in the seminars happened to me, and I started really getting excited and about this roadmap that I started to plot myself. And in 1987, when I was 30, the last pieces of the puzzle started to fall in place, and I started to accelerate this whole thing so that by 37 I was financially free. By the way, you can go and have a look at my website, honestdreyer.com, look under my resume or my CV. I'm not sure how I put it there, and go and have a look at what I've done. I think I'm one of the only people in the world that is actually prepared to tell you what I've done, and about my failures as well as my successes, and how immense this formula, the formula for riches and the wealth creator strategy, how that is. So I would like to offer you, I can almost say a gift, and that is this wealth creators roadmap, the blueprint. Now, the way to do it is, there's no ways that I can give this to you, because each and every person has got their own character and their own, fears and stuff that motivates them. So each person must literally work their own. But I think that because of the experience that I've got, that I can offer you almost like an accelerated way to start planning your own roadmap. And I know, because I've done it now twice, that I can literally take people and within a weekend give them a very, very strong, solid base so that they can start the process, and that it's not going to take them as many years as it took me at the end of the day. Right, so my tip to you is to draw up your roadmap. Now, please don't think that you should come and do my course. I've done it without any courses, so I know that you can do it. But I know also that I can save you a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of mistakes by simply offering you this opportunity. But it depends on you. So to be successful, I discovered, actually the first part of this discovery came in 1983. And that is, all you have to do is to find out what poor people are doing and then don't do it. One of the things that I've seen is that poor people do not have a life plan or a life map or a road map. They don't have it, right? So I decided that I'm going to sit and have a road map. The second thing is, find out what empowers you, what works for you, and then do that. And this is what I found and discovered in 1987, when I discovered the metaphysical laws, and I started to apply those laws instead of the Newtonian or the man-made laws that are really there to weaken you. Okay, that's all. But here's the trick: everything counts. In other words, you must manage this process as well. So I want to offer you a package deal in terms of the Wealth Creators Roadmap that will put you on this road if you want to become a wealth creator. Now, please understand this. If you do not want to become a wealth creator, in other words, if you want to play the game according to the way that everyone else is going to play the game, I am not the person to help you. I cannot help you. I wish I could, but I can't help you. Go to a financial planner or an MBA or someone that can help you in this specific game, or a broker, or there are thousands of those people out there. They will be able to give you far better advice than what I'm giving you or can get you. But if you want to become a wealth creator, there's no one on this planet Earth that has it down to the T the way that I've got it. Nowhere in the world will you find someone that can and will and outperform our students. It is simply not possible, because we are literally playing two different ball games. And the game that we are playing is a game of the natural game, the game of the universe, where we were born to have a life of abundance without having to take any risks. Okay, so here's what I'm going to offer you. First of all, the roadmap is the end result of a whole process. So that's the cherry on the cake. And that is, in essence, 2 days. And I'm going to offer it at Shumba's. That is my game farm. I'm going to invite you as my guest. In other words, you will not pay for for what you eat and what you drink and where you stay, but it's a farm. So it's not a luxurious place, five-star type hotel. If you want that, there are places that I can refer you, but that you're going to pay yourself. I'm not going to pay for that. So that will be included in the price that I'm going to give you right now in terms of the stay at Shumbas. And there's a lot of things. I'm not going to go through this. I'm going to give you a link if you're interested to find out what is involved, what you're going to get, and you will see that it is an exceptional value for money on condition that you are prepared to do what you have to do and go through the material so that you can draw up your own roadmap at the end of the day. There's a lot of crash courses that literally will be done through this process to get there and during that weekend, but this is what I'm going to give you. By the end of the weekend, you will have designed your own personal roadmap. And then right at the end, the last 3 or 4 hours of the day, I'm going to give you a financial roadmap as well. So you've got a life roadmap, and finances and business is part of that. And then I'm going to focus heavily on that portion, the financial part, to help you to become financially free in the shortest possible time with the least amount of risk, where you are going to plot out the whole process, but in such a way that you will know that you can do it by simply following that plan that you've worked out for yourself. Of course, we're going to give you guidance on that, but you will see that it's immense. So the price is 4,750 Rand per person and includes the one-night stay at Shumbas. Now, if you're going to stay at the place that I'm going to refer you to, it's going to cost you that per night. Now, of course, I'm not going to pay for that, but it shows you that this is really, really incredible value that you're going to get. So I do not have the dates simply because it's a webinar. What you need to do is to phone my office in Pretoria, 012-542-4560, and during office hours, of course, and then simply ask them for the next available dates. There will be at least 1 or 2 dates that will be available. So the bonuses will be included in the 4,750 Rand. So although I'm going to show you the bonus and the price of that, that is if you just want to buy it or you go to my website and you buy directly from my website. I'm going to include all of that in what I'm offering you at the moment. Okay, and it will only be, here's the trick, valid until the end of this webinar. So the moment that the webinar ends, that offer in terms of the bonuses for the price that is included will not be available anymore. Right. The first bonus that I want to offer you is the Debt Eradication Home Study DVD course. And you need and you must do this course before you come on the roadmap weekend. And the reason for this is because you're going to need this information in order to start plotting and designing your roadmap. So even if you haven't, if you've got no debt, you still do the course, because I need you to understand what is a surplus and then a surplus allocation. In other words, how to apply the Mercedes principle, because if you do have a surplus, the road that you're going to follow is a total different road to start off with than a person, as an example, that has got no surplus. And a lot of people do not understand the difference between capital and income, and what do I mean really with a surplus. So that course is going to take you about 7 hours. It's on DVD, and you're going to do that at your convenience whenever you've got the time. Tip, allocate like half an hour per day or an hour per day maximum. Don't try to cram in everything over a weekend and sit the whole day there. You can do that. A lot of people have done that, and this is actually a recording of one of those days. So you can do it, but I will not advise you to do that because there's a lot of nuggets that you can take from it by listening to it over and over, and that is why we've put it on DVD for you. Once you know your surplus or what surplus you should get in order to grow, the next part that I want you to do is your Financial Freedom Planner course. And this is on the internet. You're going to log in. We're going to give you the detail, and then you do that course. So now that you know the surplus or the surplus that you should get, secondly, you need to know when you want to be financially free, and then you're going to learn an incredible way to determine what growth you must get on your investment. In other words, your financial freedom growth rate. And that is vital when you come to roadmap so that you can use that as your springboard in order to do this roadmap of yours. The next one, you do not have to complete before you actually do the course. It is something that I'm going to open up for you. It's my 91 Perfect Day Challenge, and that is how I manage actually my roadmap. Right, so I want you to understand how to manage that. There's a little bit of training beforehand, and then 91 days with little mental exercises, but I want you to get the principle of how to do that. You're going to get full access to that as well. Then I'm also going to give you full access, and again, you don't have to do it, but if it's possible at all to do it before the weekend, roadmap weekend, I will strongly suggest that you do this. And this is a financial breakthrough home study DVD course. In other words, it's again home study DVD. It's a 2-day course that I've recorded, normally sell for 4,850 Rand. It will be included in this because I really and truly want you to take you through the steps so that you can understand in order to do that roadmap. Now, the reason why you want to do this and must actually do it is because I take 34 ways that the system confoculates you by showing you, first of all, how we are confoculated, the tactic that they use to confoculate us, and then the alternative to that technique so that you know what not to do. So when you set up your roadmap, you know, okay, this is not going to work for me. This is a reason. Although it sounds logic, this is not going to work. And for that reason, I need to avoid it by taking another route instead of the route that I planned initially with my roadmap. And then the last part that I want to do is the mental breakthrough. Now, it's not everyone's cup of coffee or tea. The reason why I want to do this is to show you that the impossible is possible. You know, we limit ourselves physically and mentally and spiritually by our belief system. So some of the stuff that we're going to do is to break an arrow. That's a real arrow that can kill a buffalo with that soft part of your neck. An incredible experience. Again, you don't have to do it, but I'm going to offer that to you if you want to do it. Also, I am a certified firewalk instructor for many, many years, and from time to time we do take people that wants to do it and they've got the intent to do a firewalk. Again, you don't have to do it, but at least see how other people are doing it. Andre, this guy that's on the calls, that calls were 502 degrees at that specific moment when he walked. You know, he did it 30 times that evening, and you can see that he's got that smile on his face, thinking, flip, this can't be possible, but he's done it. And so if you want to walk once, that's fine. If you want to walk many times, that's fine. If you do not want to walk, that's fine as well. Okay, so the total value is 16,050 Rand. By now, you know you're going to get it for 4,750 Rand on condition that you act before the end of this webinar. And then I also want to include, if you want to bring your spouse with a partner, you can bring that your partner with for 2,375 Rand. We're going to open up everything that you're going to get to your spouse. And I really, really want your spouse to attend, because literally two are better than one. And if you're a family and you want to bring your whole family, for example, your family is at least 19, 20 years and older, and they want to do it, don't force anyone to come and do this course unless they want to do it, okay? Then please just phone the office and ask them for a special deal for you as a family, because I can see that the families, you know, and the partners, it's just another dimension the moment that more people are involved and helping each other in the process. By now you should know that I've got on all my products 100% guarantee. This one is no different, although it's a new course, but there's a condition that you need to show me that you use the system. And by the time that you get to Shumba's, you've got access to the system. So show me that the system is not working for you and that you've actually applied it. So, you know, I don't want you to come and do another course and then put in the 4,750 Rand and then sit and do absolutely nothing. I really want you to get the results that we are promising you. Okay, so how do you lock yourself in? If you scroll down on this webinar, right just below this video, you will find this yellow button. And by pressing that is where and how you're going to lock yourself in and start this whole process. That is going to take you to a page, this page. You need to fill that in. And once you fill that in, it's going to take you to another page that's going to give you full access to an outline of the Wealth Creators Development Program. Now, here's a super bonus that I haven't discussed with you, and I haven't put a price on it, and that's why I don't know, because I'm still busy in the process of developing this specific course. The first part of the course is done. There are 6-7 modules to this course. The first part is the Wealth Creators Science. That's the internet course. It is the metaphysical, the quantum physics that I'm going to discuss. That course is done already. It's up. The second course is basically done. That's the metaphysical laws. The third law is the Wealth Creators Psychology. I'm busy with that right now. The fourth one will be the Wealth Creators Score, overview exactly how it works, why it works, what to do, what not to do. The fifth one is the Wealth Creators Foundation, which is we take the formula for riches and we really go into that so that you understand that, so that you can determine your own competency and what to work on, functional as well as dysfunctional problems. And then the last one is the blueprint, so that you know in terms of where you are and what you should do next. And then, of course, I'm going to include the Wealth Creators Roadmap Experience, and that will be the weekend at Shumba's. All of that for 4,750 Rand. Now, I haven't put a price, as I've said, on this, but I think this in itself will have a price tag once it's finished of at least 12,000 Rand. Right, so as soon as Netta receive your information, they will send you an email to make sure that you understand. We do take credit cards. You can make arrangements with them. We are going to give you access to EFT. I see a lot of people do not want to hand out the credit card details necessarily, and I think that is perfect. For that reason, we're going to give you an option to do it with EFT, and to make sure that you stay in charge and that you know what it is that you do. And the last basically big question that I'd like to know from you is that this course, you've got access to it if you want to, as long as you do it before the end of this webinar. But I'm looking for a couple more people. I've got about 74 people out of the 100 that I want to take this year with me, at least, to get to at least 10,000% growth on the investment. So if you are serious about it, and I'm going to give you the criteria now. So it's definitely not for everyone. And please do not even apply if you are not prepared to do and adhere to what the instructions that I'm going to give you just now. Okay, and this is basically, I'm going to use myself as an example. I started off with 16,000 Rand, and on the 22nd of March, it was 102,000. That gives you a 550% growth. But the next level is the MBR program. In other words, that's a Master in Business Results. It's a COA mentoring program. It's a very intensive program. Not intensive in terms of time, but in terms of the results that we want from you and that you are going to get. Okay. To join this program, you need to understand that there are no quick fixes and agree that you'll understand that. Right. Also, you must be able to take action and be a massive action taker. You must be teachable. You must be prepared to take full responsibilities for all of your actions, right? And you must know that there are no shortcuts and therefore follow the instructions. In other words, you must be teachable, and you must go through this whole fundamentals, everything that I gave you now, in order to be allowed to get onto the Wealth Creators Rainmakers, at least the MBR program. And then, of course, learn and apply the Rainmaker skill, and that is where you're going to learn how to start a business with no money. Ashraf started a business with no money, and then on his once he started making the money, his growth on that investment were 457,650%, and that was over a 3-month period by simply following this whole course. Rodney, he's 69 years of age. He got 20,900%. La Rochelle, on the other hand, she's sitting in America at the moment. I think she's still there. She kicks off with a 41,100% growth. Kolofelo is doing exceptionally. That is 4,295% growth on his initial investment by simply following that. Now, you can go to honestdreyer.com, and on the menu bar right at the right-hand side, you can have a look at some of the students last year in terms of the intake. And if you click on, for example, Alexi on that site, you will see his little testimonial in terms of the growth that they are getting. So I think if you are serious, but only if you're serious, that this is the way to find out, to go. And to find out more about the MBR program, the way that you do it is right down below this webinar, right below it. You're going to find that tell me more about the MBR program. Please, please do not try to find out if you do not adhere and are prepared to adhere to all the criteria that I've said to you. You're going to waste your time, you're going to waste my time. My time is precious, so please do not apply unless you are prepared, unless you are serious. Then we will tell you what's involved, what's the price, and everything that you need to know about that. Now, if you're still with me, well, even if you're not still with me, but of course I'm going to give this to everyone that subscribed to this webinar. I want to give you the Wealth Creators, the W Income by Working Less PDF lessons or course. It's valued at 970 Rand, very conservatively. You're going to receive that. There will be bonuses, lessons as well. That is basically on my life. You don't need to read it unless you want to find out a little bit more about myself and how I made these discoveries and how I turned out the way that I'm doing things. So that will be to you and available to you. And we're going to give you full description in terms of the emails and stuff, as well as if you want it, you've got it. Most probably you've got it already. Okay, so let me give you a quick summary. There are only two systems and therefore two strategies. The first one is based on the human laws, and that is how society operates. That's the opportunity-seeking strategy or the global belief system, right? And the second one is based on the metaphysical laws or the wealth creator strategy. I really want you to make sure that you choose number two by becoming a wealth creator. So it was a real privilege and honor for me to be able to share this with you today. In 1982, my life changed completely. I was down and out at that stage. Everything failed. And again, you can read more about that or come and listen to that in one of the seminars. But I read by candlelight a book by Ochmandino, and one verse in that book changed my whole life. And it says, I'm not on earth by chance. I'm here for a purpose. And that purpose is not to shrink into a grain of sand, but to grow into a mountain. And henceforth, I'll apply all my efforts to become the highest mountain of them all, and I will strain my potential until it cries for mercy. That night, I made a decision, and that was to take responsibility and to design my life. So my first roadmap that I started was plotted in the first week in January 1982. The second major contribution to that roadmap happened in 1994. And the biggest part of that roadmap happened in 1987 when I discovered that you can start a business as well as an investment with no money and no security. Because of that, I'm living a life of abundance, and I was in a position to be financially free at the age of 37. My wish for you is to use this as a springboard to start the process and to become the best that you can be and to join us as wealth creators. Right, so if for any reason you could not use the links, then simply phone my office in Pretoria, 012-542-4560 during office hours. Any problem that you have, they will be able to sort that out, or I think in terms of this program, or if you want to query any of the other courses that I've got, you're more than welcome to do so or get more information. I'm going to repeat that again. It's Pretoria, 012-542-4560. And I really and truly want to thank you for joining me during this webinar, listening to me, and I really hope that this is going to be the beginning and the first step of your journey to become a wealth creator. Thanks.